بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حضورنا الكريم من السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نرحب بكم مجددا في اليوم الثاني من فعاليات منتدى دبي العالمي لإدارة المشاريع، ويسعدنا أن نستهل جلسات هذا اليوم بحلقة نقاشية عن مدن المستقبل. تناقش الجلسة كيفية أن تكون مدن المستقبل صديقة للبشر، من حيث سهولة حركة السكان، توفر كافة الخدمات اللازمة للعيش الكريم، وهذا هو رهان دبي الأول التي يريد صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن راشد آل مكتوم نائب رئيس الدولة رئيس مجلس الوزراء حاكم دبي رعاه الله أن تكون المدينة الأذكى والأسعد على مستوى العالم. حضورنا الكريم، في هذه الجلسة النقاشية يسعدني أن نستدعي إلى المنصة كلا على حدة سعادة محمد العبار رئيس مجلس إدارة إعمار العقارية، أيضا سعادة مطار الطاير المدير العام ورئيس مجلس المديرين لهيئة الطرق والمواصلات، وسعادة بيل ماكدرموت الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة SEB. المتحدثين أيضا في هذه الجلسة سعادة مارك لانغلي الرئيس والمدير التنفيذي لمعهد إدارة المشاريع DIPMF. نقدم أيضا مدير هذه الجلسة الدكتور علاء الزيتون عضو مجلس مديري معهد إدارة المشاريع PMI ورئيس شركة PM Solutions. رحبوا بك جميعا.
Marhaban, and welcome to a very intriguing session with the title of Future Cities. I think we, as you know from the event and the title of the event having to do with the shaping of the future, I believe a topic like future cities would very much be in the core of that, and we could not have selected a more distinguished and a more diverse group of panelists today to help us cover those topics. As I start, I have also some themes that I'm going to try to use to put some pressure on our panelists today in terms of the areas they hope to, I hope they can cover with us. Obviously, we have a limitation of time. His Excellency Matar Tayer, as you know, has been for 11 years now leading one of the world's class organizations that have to do a lot with taking and stretching the limit when it comes to cities of the future. I'm going to count on His Excellency to give us a lot of enlightenment, let's call it, around how Dubai is an example of a catalyst of a future city, and many of those insights I think we'll look for today with the Excellency of Tayer. His Excellency Al-Abar, as we know, with the kind of portfolios and sizes of projects he's been managing in the region, and the kinds of positioning and efforts he's done, including being a founder and chairman of the Dubai Financial Markets, etc. I think I'm going to count on you a lot, sir, for the properties of the future and how shaping that also can help us in shaping the future changes we are looking forward to see. On the far left, we have Bill McDermott. Some of you had the option of attending his session also yesterday. Bill has a very unique position, being the only non-European leading one of the most global organizations in the world, with the sizes he shared with us yesterday in terms of the size of employees, the number of countries they operate in. So we're looking a lot today, Bill, in terms of not only technologies of the future, but also insights in the challenges we expect to see in those future cities as well. Next to Bill is Mark Langley. As you know, I may have the chance to also have heard Mark yesterday. He's been leading one of the world's most renowned organizations, also obviously co-leader of this event, PMI. Mark has been in that position, I believe, 6 years, Mark, but has been around PMI much longer than that and has contributed to a phenomenal growth of that organization. We're going to count also on stretching Mark in terms of what's next in project management. How can project management, to a great extent, contribute also to those future events we expect to see driving the cities we live in, etc. Your Excellency, Tahir, can we get going with you and maybe use Dubai as an example of a catalyst of the city, you know, with the changes we expect to see for the visitors and for the citizens of Dubai. How do you envision RTA also contribute to those changes that are likely going to be facing Dubai into the future as an example of those future cities we aspire to see drive future success?
First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with my colleagues the future vision for the Dubai. As everybody knows, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed already set up the target for Dubai for the year 2017. He said by 2017, he wants Dubai to be the smartest and happiest city. As everybody knows, to have a happy city, you have to have three things in the city. The city must be connected, must be livable, and must be sustainable. Because sustainability now is the talk of the town. Everybody talking about sustainability in everything. Not only because I'm working in infrastructures, I would say we have to have a sustainable infrastructures. The RTA contribution to this, actually, for the future city, the RTA shares the responsibility in more than one area. In smart mobility, we can talk about three areas: the connected mobility, the sustainable mobility, and the smart transformations. All the three topics are connected together. From the RTA, because we are only responsible about one part of the infrastructures. The RTA smart mobility, for example, just I'll give some examples. We have done the longest driverless metro. We have done, we tried more than different companies for driverless vehicle in downtown. For the connected mobility, we have more than one project actually. We have the Enterprise Command and Control Center, we call it the ECQ, which will be ready by May 2017, and all the mode of transports will be controlled under one building, and we will share with our partner, the Dubai Police and others, how to control the movement of people and how to control the cars and all mode of transport in one building. The other project is which we are working in now, and it will be finished also in March 2017, is the Dubai Integrated Mobility Platform, which we are working now. We are working more than one partners now for this type of platform, international also expert in this, and I hope it will be ready by March 2017. The other one is the first and last mile transport solutions. And we are working also in more than one company working in this field, and maybe in the coming months you will see a lot of company working in this, and we announced about some of them, and then some of them will be coming in the future. Regarding the sustainability, I will not talk much about this because everybody knows this. It's the Euro 4 and Euro 5 bus engines. Everybody knows that most of our buses are Euro 4 and Euro 5. And the hybrid taxis, 6% of the fleet will be hybrid taxis. Also for the electrical vehicles and Abras will be also used. Regarding the cycling tracks, everybody is seeing now, we will, by 2030, we'll have about 1,000 kilometers of cycling track available. Now we have around 175 kilometers. Regarding the smart transformation, the services of the RTA, only up to now 173, we have mobile and smart services. Of course, this reduced about 50% of the service of the RTA is actually this is reducing the customer visit to RTA. And the last but not least is the big data, and I will give a small example. From the big data information, we use this information is powerful, as everybody knows. We used this information to design. Now they will be. We have done some, and we'll do more regarding taxi staging area near the marina.
Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you.
I believe, His Excellency Tsar talked a lot about the expected changes, from the systems and from the infrastructure and some of the innovations there. Maybe if I can go to you, Your Excellency Labar, and people talk a lot about culture transformation as also a very much complementary aspect of this. What do you envision would be needed from branding and from aspects of creation that will be needed for a smart future city like this? What would you envision in your field and your area of focus would be needed as well from a transformation standpoint for cities of the future?
Well, the fact is that you are dealing with so many elements that you need a very complex mind to deal with this. And with the change that's taking place, I'm sure His Excellency and everybody else who provide technology is trying to cope. It's really how to do it right, and how will people react to it, whatever that might be. But do we really know what will happen in 2017? I'm not going to go to 19 or 20 because it's impossible. With the change that's taking place in everything you do. And what have happened in Dubai is just amazing. But if I were to take that and bring it down to the level of the business I do, I'm rebuilding all my car park structures. I have not spoken to His Excellency yet, but I'm changing my grid in construction, because when he changes his laws in 7 years from today, where there is less car park requirement per residential building, per retail development because of driverless cars and the sharing economy, I can convert that space to office space, or I can convert it to an apartment space. Now, does anybody know this? Does anybody know how to do this? Did anybody come up with this? But there's so much more. So the only solution is that you really have to be plugged in, aware, learning all the time, coping with change, connecting with the end users or the partners that you have. I'll go back, I'll look at, the Creek development and Dubai Hills, where we're doing these 1,200 acres, and they're massive. And we're doing all the work design now. People are moving in 2020. When will the world be 2020? Are we really, is our work relevant anymore? So I think to answer
even 2050, His Excellency Mazrou yesterday was saying that he had to go to His Highness, and His Highness was pushing back and saying, I want to see the strategy for 2050 when it comes to the energy grid as well. So your point is quite strong about the complexities that we're going to.
So what do you need to you deal with it. But as long as you realize that, and you're alert, and you have some of the most brilliant people on earth, and you have to move extremely fast. And if you cannot move fast, and by the way, I was reading about project management, and I'm sure many of you know that just the word project came from the Latin word, it means leaping forward. So my challenge now to all of my colleagues, and even when it comes to project, I said, listen, 60 years ago, the Concorde the design of the Concorde started 16 years ago. It flew 50 years ago. So 60 years ago, starting design, 50 years ago, flew to cut the travel time between New York and London half. I said, now we have to fly in 1 minute. That's been 60 years, old-fashioned, right? So I'm saying, even project management, all the stuff we do, technology is affecting what we are doing. I don't know how you want to live in your house. What are they? We think that soon we'll be designing homes without kitchens, because the delivery business of food is growing 10% a month. We need to make sure that, how can we cope with this thing?
So Mark, actually that's a nice tee up for yourself, right? Because if you think about it, I heard words like complexity, pace of change, I heard need for a different kind of project management. So how does PMI prepare itself for that? How do you envision PMI play some kind of a leading role when it comes to that complexity?
Yeah, certainly, from even a volatility, uncertainty, complexity, unstable sometimes in terms of economics. So there are really two ways that we're positioning PMI to help organizations in the future with all those factors. The first is we're actually working and building a coalition with other organizations around an enterprise approach to bringing all the right disciplines and capabilities together for the application. So we share a very similar view to His Excellency around the role a project plays in the future versus the role it plays today. It's going to be very different, and the capabilities in an organization to deliver that are going to be very different. And it's really going to be some of the core existing capabilities in project management, really coupled with other disciplines, much more integrated, much more future-oriented in terms of looking ahead as to able to iterate quickly through, fail fast through those challenges that we're all going to face in terms of smart development, sustainability, and whatever comes beyond those two. The second area is really around our continued thought leadership and really moving towards positioning PMI as much as a think tank, because we really need to bring the best and greatest minds around the complexity in projects, the volatility, the uncertainty, to really think and stretch out. As you might know, we already fund significant academic education, really looking 5 to 7 years out, trying to bring into and reduce to practice in the future new ways to think about allied disciplines, for instance, those other disciplines that impact project management but aren't necessarily core to project management. So PMI plays a role today in the area of academics and academic research as well as thought leadership, but we really need to move that, and we're positioning PMI going forward really in more as a think tank, bringing the great minds of the world that deal with the implications of the complexity in order to make sure that the projects and programs that support really significant, even complex strategies like future cities. I mean, I think that's really the first, that enterprise approach is aimed at helping organizations close that gap between the complex strategies that they have and the capabilities or the ability to implement those strategies. And it's no straightforward approach where if we went back 20 or 30 years ago, we knew what the technologies were. We may be applying those known technologies to new applications, but now we're not even certain what the technologies are, let alone how they apply. And we really need to be thinking more forward about that as a profession and integrating those other disciplines to help manage complexity.
Thanks, Mark. I think the panelists are teeing up nicely one another here, because almost hearing Mark speak, Bill, would be more like how SAP would be running the business these days. He's talking about think tanks, he's talking about also the ability to fail fast, etc. So can you maybe shed some more light around, what does SAP, or what are your personal views in terms of the technological innovations, if I stay very classical, when it comes to people's view of SAP being a leading edge in that regard? What would you think some of those innovations look like in the future?
I'd be happy to, but I also want to thank everybody for their interest in Winner's Dream yesterday, and thanks to the kindness of His Excellency Altair, and in partnership with RTA, we have made a determination that all the attendees will get a copy of Winner's Dream, since they were in high demand yesterday and there wasn't enough supply. So thank you so much, Your Excellency. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. As we look at technology, think about data being the currency of the 21st century. Everything is going to revolve around the data. The data is going to connect to the process. Data is going to organize the process between supply and demand chains. The main theme of all of this is we are now in a consumer to business economy. The consumer is in charge. The device is the prevailing computing theme of the 21st century. And simplicity, ease of use, everything in real time on the device is what's driving everything. So the new technologies that are going to shape the landscape will include things like machine learning. Computers now have the ability to learn. They can solve very interesting problems. For example, in human capital management, there's lots of labor still aligning the profile for a job and an applicant when a machine can do it. And the machine can do it better because the machine can remove bias from the decision-making process and improve productivity dramatically. Artificial intelligence. Enterprises that are smart enterprises win. Enterprises that aren't quick and agile lose. And of course, when you get beyond ML and AI, we know about the Internet of Everything. So everything from the biorhythms of your body and how you move and how you think and how that connects ultimately to your device is going to be measured, and it's going to happen in real time. So the sensors, the devices, the Internet of Everything is going to drive a massive change in the new economy. I was in Italy a couple of weeks ago with Trenitalia, where they were taking their rail system and the sensors of everything and connecting it in real time to the way they preventatively maintain the rail system, taking huge cost out of the equation and improving the service to the consumer dramatically. So you'll see cities like Boston, as an example, take all the Internet of Everything into account as it relates to serving the citizens, making sure services are available online at the lowest possible cost. Services are provided to things like building, and the permits are approved and they're not delayed and things get done. So it's reducing crime, it's improving productivity, and it's obviously improving the service that you provide to your constituents. I'll give you another story. I was in Madrid just a few weeks ago, and the CEO of the top retailer said to me, I have 3.6 million people walk through my store every day. I have 11 million people in my database. I need to know everything about them, and I need to know it in real time so I can talk to my consumer. The competition starts coming from other geographies into his space, cutting into his retail business. He wants to control this situation and be a leader. The only way to do it is to basically have a single view of the consumer, everything in real time, all the data, all the channels, all the e-commerce standardized on a common platform, so he's fast. These are some of the modern changes that we see taking over the landscape.
Should we worry though? It sounds like we should worry a little bit about our jobs or as project managers.
What you have to recognize is that anything that could be automated by removing the middle person in the process will be. So if you take blockchain as an example, it removes the middle person, it improves productivity dramatically. Dubai is a leader in this regard, but it also reduces CO2 emissions. So you're not only improving productivity and saving money, but you're also helping the environment. So what has to happen now, the jobs have to move to areas that truly move the economy, the society, and the environment forward. Tasks that can be automated will be.
Your Excellency, I think he's setting you up nicely as well. He's just started talking about CO2 emissions and all of that, so it would be very interesting to hear from you around some of the traditional, critical tension, let's call it, between, being green and being smart, and, some of the technologies that we have to worry about in the cities of the future when it comes to also thinking sustainability and those topics you initially started with as well.
I totally agree with him, but I would like to go back to what Mr. Al-Abbas said when he started talking about, do you know the future? Do you know what will happen in 2017, in 2020? I totally agree with him. 3 years ago, when we started designing the canal, Dubai Canal, we put some specifications for the infrastructures for the canal. And 1 year later, I found out that so many specifications of the infrastructure has been changed, especially if you want to balance between the green and technology. I'll give an example. When we have designed the road lighting for the canal, it was a little bit, I will not say old-fashioned, but it is not the top-of-the-range technology. Recently, on the Sheikh Zayed Bridge, we have come up with the latest smart lighting design. So what Abbar is saying, technology is changing very quickly, and whatever decision you take now, it's a very big challenges regarding specification, what it will be tomorrow, regarding the specification of the car parks, specification of road lighting, specification of the street furniture. This is a very big challenge between technology and also sustainability and green economy. I'm not going to go in details, but I'll speak roughly about some of the projects we are doing regarding the street lighting. Also now, most of the street lighting is LED lighting, so it is changing, and of course this involves changing the specification and changing the material. Also, there is a lot of budget involved. Another thing is the traffic signals. Also, we put a plan from 2014 to 2018. We will convert from halogen to LED, and that, of course, this is a very big project. You have to change most of the traffic signal specification to LED. In addition, regarding the sustainability, now electrical buses, now they are coming in business, and most of the countries using now, because of environment, they are using electrical car, autonomous car, self-driving cars. Another thing is the building information, BIM. Now this is an infrastructure. This is coming in new, and we are not used to this, to all those systems. Now everything has to change, and it will change drastically. Even most of the mode of transport, how much, imagine we are carrying now for the Dubai Metro 600,000 by Dubai Metro. Imagine if those people are driving cars. How much? I have a figure here. The Dubai Metro reduced carbon emission by 300,600 tons in 2015. Imagine this number. If we did not have Dubai Metro, the Dubai tram removed about 2,800 tons of CO2 emission in 2015. Imagine if we don't have those systems, what will happen to the environment? Now, there are so many things. By 2020, 50% of taxi fleet as hybrid will be hybrid by 2021, about 50%. So, from the numbers I gave you, we must also align the smart technology with the environment and green economy.
Very good.
Yeah.
Bill, I'm going to come back to you just to give you a heads up. I'd love to get your views at some point in terms of the impact on the youth and the future, and the ways they work, how also they likely would be affected in the ways they live and operate and all that. So if you pull the string a little bit on some of the points you started with, that would be great. I'll go to Your Excellency Akbar first to maybe look at the leadership component of this. The cities of the future, I think with the complexities, with the amount of unknowns, we cannot really foresee what's going to happen in 2017 or 2020, whatever the horizon we're looking into. Where do you see some of the leadership challenges? And do you think, does project management have a play in simplifying possibly some of those challenges? I was very intrigued by your definition of project, the Latin definition and so forth. Do you think project management has the potential also to support some of those leadership challenges?
Well, I'm sure, but it depends on who you're talking about, right? Sure. We are investors in some of the project management companies, and we've been firing them comfortably because they don't believe in the art of evolution. And why? Because if His Excellency is talking about just the whole efficiency that drives this city and every city, I think connected devices in our cities and our master plans are going to do exactly that. There's so much knowledge, there's so much information that's readily available. I think it will cut down so much. We invested in a very small company in Lebanon that basically it provides healthcare service. And the amazing thing is that it provides you with every doctor available in different cities, different neighborhoods. So if you're in this neighborhood, you open your app and you see who are the doctors that are available who are specialized in. If he's a pediatrician, you just push the number and talk to him. What they discovered is that actually 50% of these people supposed to be sick, actually 50% get solved over the phone. You go to a doctor and he tells you, oh yeah, I think it's okay, just take a Panadol, give your kid, I don't know, Dramatol, what do you call it, and then, fine, come and see me after. 50%. So all this connected world brings efficiency up high. Now, we all know this, we all read about it. But the truth, and I'm going to answer the question, we are all here unfit to answer the question. So what we're doing about it in my own company, we are establishing a new company now. It will be manned by 25 boys and girls. One rule, below 25. If you are not below 25, excuse me, you don't know what's happening to the world. You cannot think like that. Perfect. You think, you can't. So how can I succeed and move forward? I have 4 kids, they're my advisors. But they're all going above 25. It's scary. So, but the other thing is that just on a serious note, when it comes to, for example, the connected devices and all that, for example, on all of our master plans, we are running big competitions now for digital master plan.
So
we have to know.
Actually, added now to both your challenges, Bill. In a way, you're going to have to get to my comment about the youth. I mean, right here, you heard the pressure on the reality is they are the ones who determine what that future looks like. So I want you to...
I mean, are you kidding for me to say, oh, I think these guys are built this for them? It's a joke. I don't know.
So let's add your views and then get to Mark immediately after that. Some of the skills, maybe even complement that, and then I'll go back to His Excellency Otairo on some of the specifics of the future cities as well. Go ahead.
Well, I happen to agree with His Excellency, first of all. So all I can do is share our own experiences. In our company, we focus on 2,000 universities around the world, and the idea is to partner with universities on next generation innovation, to make sure the young ones have the technical know-how that they need to succeed in the digital economy. We also have prioritized getting our company younger by hiring more and more young people. This year we'll hire somewhere in order of magnitude around 7,000 people that would be in the profile of His Excellency in what he just said. And that is really creating a much more innovative culture in our company. The other thing I've learned about this quote-unquote millennial generation, soon Generation Z, is you have to promote them too soon. You have to give them too much responsibility too early and challenge them to fail. You'll be surprised at how they'll surprise you and how good they are. And I think this is really healthy in a company. I have direct reports to me that are now just about 90% millennial generation people. And that's at the top of a pretty large software company. And they amaze me every day.
If I may say, if you look at the city of Dubai, I think Matar al-Tayr and myself were a really good example of the 29-year-old guys where Sheikh Mohammed just basically loaded them. Really, that's what he did. He said,